Hello and welcome to What It Is, the show of conversations on music news, history, and culture, brought to you by Independent Arts and Music of Asheville, recorded live at Echo Mountain Studios in downtown Asheville, North Carolina. I'm Joe Kendrick, very glad to be the host of this show once again, joined today by Jay Sanders of Acoustic Syndicate. We got Molly Kummerle of Paper Tiger and Molly Party, also Caitlin Krisko of The Broadcast, and Jason Sandford making his first appearance on What It Is. You know him from ashvegas.com. Today we've got a focus on the scene in Asheville. We're going to go over some of our favorite bands, some up-and-coming artists that you might not know about but want to check out. Also examining what is good and perhaps could be better about the scene in Western North Carolina and Asheville. Turning to you, Jason Sandford.
All right. Well, once again, it's always so hard to pick, and I don't know. I'll have to think a little bit as we discuss about up-and-comers, but I can just tell you some of who I like to see, who I want to see more of. Just a couple of nights ago, Woody Wood and Jason Krekel played Five Walnut as the Sufi Brothers, and these guys several years ago did that, and then they sort of stopped doing it, and now they're sort of picking it back up. But my God, I don't understand why Woody Wood is not a superstar. That guy gets to me every time with his talent, his voice, and his guitar playing, and I just love those guys. And I guess my tastes run a little more toward the country bluegrass scene. Like just right off the top, that might be more of what I would be likely to see. So, the Balsam Range and Steep Canyon, those guys, I love what they're doing. Blue jeans and khaki pants.
They're so funny. Oh my Lord.
Great. I want to see more of them. I don't know. That's just off the top of my head.
I mean, you can't talk about the current Asheville music scene without just mad props to the Steep Canyon Rangers, because they are out there playing at the top of their game, playing at the top of the field, Grammy winners, everything they're doing with Steve Martin, and they are just incredible. And not only that, they're playing in a genre which, just to be honest with my opinion, can be stale. The bluegrass genre can get very stale. Yep. It's very, it can be very systemic, but they are really pushing boundaries and making really exciting music and representing Asheville and specifically Brevard the entire way. And I'm so proud to know those guys. Yeah, it's just amazing what they're doing. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to throw out there, Woody and the Sufi Brothers I secretly play with them a lot. Sometimes it's the Sufi Brothers, but the Crectones are without question one of my favorite local bands. With Jason Krekel playing guitar and doing the whole surf rock thing, I can't get enough. Yeah. So those are some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Those are good ones. Some local Asheville bands that I love. An up-and-coming band to me would be the Get Right Band. They're super fun, very sexy, cool music. They've got a great tune off their record called Fingernails. It's just so catchy, and you just put it on repeat over and over again. It's so good. I also am a huge fan of the Honeycutters. I think Amanda's just an incredible lyricist and songwriter, really haunting vocals. The depth of the music is just really heart-wrenching to me, and I just really love it. Always loved the Two Bob guys, love Two Bob crew. They actually recently brought in a new bassist who's been killing it, and they've been doing some really fun stuff recently. Also, got to give lots of love to Yo Mama's Big Fat Booty Band coming out with a new record, and the Broadcast is going to be playing some shows with them at the end of the year, so we're really stoked to be doing some work with them. They're obviously an incredibly hardworking band that puts Asheville on the map in a lot of locations that otherwise people may not know about Asheville if they hadn't been touring as much as they have been for the last few years. So they've helped us enormously on the road, even just in terms of Asheville reputation.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. Mine is kind of all over the place. I've been a musician in this town for 14 or 15 years. So just watching some of these bands kind of progress and, get booking agents and then get publicists and then, put out record after record and their video quality gets better and they know what they're doing because they've had to figure it out, has been awesome. It makes me really proud. And one of those is Jonathan Scales' Orchestra. Mm-hmm. I mean, that guy, sometimes when I'm having a conversation with him, I'm like, I don't even understand what you're saying right now. Like, he's so brilliant, and he's just, everybody in the band is really got some chops, and I think,
great guys,
yeah, they're
too.
super,
Awesome
they're
guys.
smart and funny, and they work hard, and they're out there doing something that nobody else is doing, and they're pushing boundaries. They are very engaging on stage. They're taking an instrumentation that is weird, and they're like making it accessible.
Yeah.
And especially like Jonathan's compositions are intense. And he's got such a good sense of humor in his music, and then on stage too. I think it really helps people open up to it. That's one group that I'm like seriously cheering for.
They're also very supportive of other local artists in Asheville, which is awesome. Like, oftentimes you'll hear on the road, oh, Jonathan Scales has told me about you guys. And that's a really nice thing to hear, that other artists are being supportive of the music that's happening in Asheville. I think that's a great attitude to have.
Very supportive.
Yeah.
And I think with this lineup, like, this is the first album that he's done with this lineup. The orchestra is cemented as a trio. And I feel like that's like helped him like cement things and like just go for it. Another band that I feel that way about, and also is putting out their new record with the same lineup, is the Booty Band. Incredible. I want to make bobbleheads for every single person in that band, because they're like, I have like all these ideas, and I'm like, what you need to do? You need to have little dress-up dolls that you change each other's clothes. Like, back in the 80s with the paper folds. They're so, they love what they're doing. They make awesome music. They're so much fun. They should have a reality TV show. Like, they work hard. I'm not just saying this because they're a Mason Jar client. Like, I've thrown so much stuff at them.
they
I made
hustle.
them leave at 4:00 in the morning to do radio, and they were stoked about it. And like, they're such good people, and they're so fun, and they're so tight. They're so supportive. They got back from the Keys at like 7:00 p.m. last night, after it taking them a whole day because their trailer broke down, and then they went to Funk Jam.
Yeah.
I would have been crying in the shower, like, oh, I can't handle my life, like, they're just awesome, and they're just so supportive, and they're just killing it out there. They've got, love national festivals. They're helping people see Asheville as like this little scene. Crazy Horse and Colston, which is a hip hop group,
totally,
which I love.
really
like,
good mention.
I love, and I've started sitting in with them and collaborating with them a little bit. They're going to be on the new Paper Tiger record. Such good people, and so good. Like, the first time,
great.
The first time I heard them, I was like, whoa, what just happened? Such, like, lyrics are spot on about lots of stuff that people don't like to, like, think about, much less say that they think about, and just seriously good kind of Southern influenced hip hop, which I feel like needs to come back.
Definitely.
Outkast is not together, needs to have like that Southern flavor hip hop.
Yep.
And Robots Win also is another one that is starting to really bring a lot of attention to the electronica scene. It's 2 or 3 people, and it's like kind of lo-fi at times, but it's really just beautifully layered, dark vocals and beats, and it's pretty cool.
Nice.
And of course, present company included.
Thanks, girl.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the Asheville scene in particular, and some of the good things are obvious. National profile with major events like Mountain Oasis, with the Warren Haynes Christmas Jam, with Moogfest coming up again in spring. Asheville has a lot of advantages over other towns in that it's got a walkable downtown with a really tight-knit scene of venues and places that you can go from one to the other. If you don't like one thing, you can just walk somewhere else instead of having to pick up and drive. And you've also got artists and a fan base that kind of cross-pollinates and intermingles, so that there's no sort of there's fewer divisions between this than in so many other scenes, and it can't be said how advantageous all of that is. And so, right now, Western North Carolina, Asheville is overshadowing many much larger cities in the state. But can we say anything that could be improved? Can we talk about what would make it better for artists and fans in this town for the music scene?
I think A couple things that could improve in the Asheville scene. One, which we were talking about earlier, is a more active approach toward the youth culture in Asheville. Grey Eagle is all ages a lot of the time for shows, but you don't see high school kids coming to see these gigs. I wish they would come out more. I think it's awesome that we have an all ages venue in Asheville available for high school students to come out and enjoy live music. I would have killed for an all ages venue in New York City growing up. I had to rock my fake ID all the time to get into the Mercury Lounge, which ended up stealing my ID once. But I think that's one thing that could improve. I also think that we could benefit maybe from promotion. Outside promotion. Bands in Asheville are really, really, really good at street teaming their own shows, at marketing their own shows, at promoting. I don't know if there would ever be room for that in Asheville, but I think it would be great to have real promoters, like people who go out and put together a show and put together a lineup and promote it and blast out things and have a publicist that they work with to put on a show in their company's name. I don't know if Asheville's big enough for that yet, but that's something that we see as a very successful formula in other cities that we play on the road.
It's a tight market, so it would be difficult
Right.
Grandma Presents is coming in and doing a lot of really cool stuff over at the Double Crown, and doing a lot of cool promotion stuff. AC Entertainment's got most of the major venues on lockdown, and they have access to most of the major big artists that would draw any kind of...
Right.
So any type of publicity that you're going to do like that is going to definitely stick within the local level. But, one thing I'll definitely say is this scene has come so far in the almost 20 years that I've been living in, playing in Asheville. I miss Vincent's ear every day. I remember back when Lexington Avenue was barely anything, and we had a handful of music venues, and look at what we've got now. I have a hard time answering your question because we've accomplished a lot of what we used to talk about as far as what we needed. We've got amazing things with the Tuesday Night Funk Jam. We've got a plethora of venues. The venue situation at this point, it's there's new ones coming online all the time, and we've got so there's really a lot going on. I've always said the thing that makes a really amazing music scene is, as much as it is the musicians, it's the audience. Yeah, and there definitely is a community here in this town that really wants to support live music, and that is what really makes the difference. Because without someone to play to, we would all just stay at home.
Absolutely.
So we've come a long, long way. And we should, that's something really to congratulate. I think the next step is to have somebody really make it big out of here. Like I was mentioning, the Steep Canyon Rangers,
Right.
they're going a long way. That's in a very specific genre. But if we had, whether it was the broadcaster or anyone else, just really blow up and become a huge international phenomenon, that would be the
cool.
next. That would be the next step to come.
Yeah.
I actually would agree with that.
I think, we have come a very long way, and that's one thing that's great. We definitely have the venues now, and we have a really good, strong community. I think one of the things that I get frustrated with is that it's still really small. We do have some promotion, like Genius Presents are doing some good shows, and they're not just doing shows at their place. The Trinumeral guys used to do a lot of that and bring in Elliot Lip and Matt and Kim, lots of, they're kind of scattered right now, but there are some. There's not an AC Entertainment that's set here, but AC Entertainment has tons of Asheville community and relationships. I think that it's grown a lot, but as somebody that's been a front person in a band for as long as I have, and just trying to make things happen, it gets frustrating because you kind of have to reinvent the wheel because it's a small community. When our album came out in 2011 and Isaac decided to stop playing live with the band at that point, it took us 8 months to get back on the stage. And thank God for my drummer, Dave Mathis, and then Mike McBride, who joined the band. We got it going, and the live show is cooler than ever, and I love it. But if I was in DC, that would have taken 1 month because there'd be 10 people in my phone that I could have been this is what I want to do. How do I do it? Do you want to play?
That is
okay.
very true.
And so that for me was very frustrating because I had all of this momentum. We played Moog Fest 3 months before the album came out. I was killing myself, and for it to take that long at that pivotal point in my career, I was just oh my God. So that thing, and then I do wish that there was a little more industry in town and more obvious resources to make money. You know, like everybody that I know has at least 2 jobs, and you know, it's cool, but it would be cool if there was more income. You know, Asheville is an expensive place to live, and unless you're an entrepreneur or a bartender, you're not making a lot of money.
That's very true.
And that gets very old.
What do you guys think about the idea that Asheville's a very like self-inclusive scene? It's very kind of like an incubator in ways. What do you guys think about the idea that it's very possible that the market could actually be oversaturated? That we might have too many bands here, we might have too many venues here. You definitely run the risk. I mean, anyone that plays out has seen it, that if you play out too much, you're going to run the risk of actually cannibalizing your own audience. You know, I mean, I know that you guys have seen it.
Oh, yeah, we went through that a couple of years ago when we first moved down here. We thought, oh, we could just play residencies, we could play shows every other month. And now we're at a point where we kind of took the Booty Band Stephanie Zitt approach of like, let's just do 4 to 5 big shows a year.
And even
that's pushing it. I mean,
5
we've
is
only,
too many.
this is actually this will be our 3rd show in Asheville this year. And New Year's will be our 4th, and that's it.
Yeah.
I do think there is a certain level of oversaturation. I mean, you even see it, we were talking about it earlier, how many show options there are tonight and tomorrow and Friday, and they're great shows. I mean, they're really good bands that you can go see. And I think that sometimes can be problematic because the music community is not large enough, I think, sometimes to be able to sustain the amount of music that's happening. So your audiences get split.
I mean, sometimes. Like, I've seen New Year's here where there were great bands. I mean, granted, it's New Year's Eve, but there were, you know, I remember one year Acoustic Syndicate was at the Grey Eagle, the Booty Band was at the Orange Peel. There was someone really good at every venue, and they were all...
was at the Orange
Two
Peel.
was at the Orange Peel, Booty
I
Band
went
was
to
at the
all of those
Music Hall.
shows.
Yeah, that's right. And they all sold
And they
out.
were all so, I was like, whoa. Me and Alan
So-
Marshall were like...
It's possible. That was a very specific case because it's a very specific night. But I've definitely seen really good nights where all the venues were
Fill out.
full. You know, so it's just to me, it's just a curious question as someone who works in the scene here is like, what's the right amount? What, you know, if I was talking to another artist, like what would be the right balance between, you know, creating hype and providing too much,
Right.
you know, attention to yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, I think also, I mean, that's why I DJ now, because like Paper Tiger cannot play in town more than 4 times a year unless it's something completely separate, like Laugh, you know, like that's it. That's all I can do, you know, like our booking agent's doing a really good job, like building us some really good quality things, but like I can't depend on my hometown to support me as a musician full time. You know, I can't. If I had Ruby Slippers still, like I could gig everywhere, you know, but it's a different kind of band. That's a working man's band, you know? So Molly Party is my working man's band because I can play all sorts of different stuff. I can play whenever I want, as much as I can. But as an original band, when I'm trying to get people to engage and come to my show, I can't do that very often.
Oh, yeah. It's
but
crazy that you have like the separation of like, you know, when Rich and I do a duo project at the Grove Park, like we'll literally make more in one night than we do in an entire month in the broadcast.
Definitely.
Literally, like for real. And like, it's kind of crazy to look at that you know, and you do have to kind of look at that, like, how can I make my money? And then how can I pursue my passions? And I think that it would be really nice if we could get to a place in Asheville where you could pursue, or anywhere in the country, honestly, where you could pursue your passions and that would be like your main focus.
Well, I mean, you tour, you know,
Yeah.
like, and you get an agent and you try to get on better shows and better shows on opening spots, and you're one of 3. And like, that's why Paper Tiger is a duo on the road right now, because, you know, we don't have to take the trailer. 2 people trying to find some place to stay and feed them is much easier than 3. Like, it's
Or
a
6.
world of difference.
Yeah.
And so like,
Try 6.
you know, like after this amount of time, I've had to just seriously think about like, what are the actual nuts and bolts of this project? Like, what do I want this project to do? Like, this is a concert kind of band, you know, it depends on what kind of band you have too. Like, we can't play at Barley's, we can't do more money gigs like I used to be able to with Ruby Slippers, but that's not what this band is for. You know, when we first started Paper Tiger, we played all the time because we were just trying to get the name out there. And then it got to a point where we were like, now we're at the point where we cannot play all the time because, you know, people are not going to come see you if you just played.
Right.
Or they can come see you next week. So I think it depends on what kind of band it is. If it's your bread and butter band, or if it's your, the one that you're pressing original music and sweating over and crying over. That's it's a small community to try to support a kind of band like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's been also one big development, in my opinion, in the Asheville music scene that I really enjoy, and that's new venues like the Apothecary and the soon-to-come Mothlight. That's actually supporting a lot more really experimental music, a lot more underground. And then the jazz scene here has finally found a really good home at the ISIS on Sundays, especially since Bill Barris has arrived and taken over the chair at UNCA. He's really upped the game, and the jazz. What is it? The jazz bop explosion?
Hard bop.
Hard bop explosion. Sorry, fellas. The hard bop explosion, when they do their thing on Sunday nights, I mean, we're really up in the game in terms of like that type of music in Asheville. For the first time, really putting it up onto a national level where they're playing at the same level as a lot of music that you would see in New York or something like that. And I think that's really exciting because that's just a whole new side of things that's going on in Asheville, and it resonates with me because that's something I really enjoy. But I'm really happy to see that finally finding homes for new and experimental boundary pushing music.
So is Michael W. Davis.
It's
kept him in town a few years longer.
I feel like a lot of people are kind of up in the ante in that way in all genres, which is good. Quality's getting higher.
Well, there you have it. It's the Asheville and Western North Carolina scene in a nutshell on what it is today. Brought to you by Independent Arts and Music of Asheville. We're recording live at Echo Mountain Studios in Western North Carolina's beautiful downtown Asheville. Let us know your thoughts. The conversation continues with you here at imavl.com. Drop us a comment on this webpage, or if you're watching on YouTube, or on Twitter at imavl.com. I'm Joe Kendrick. Thank you so much. Until next time.